Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. My name is Alex Funk, and if you are new, I would love if you clicked the subscribe button right here or right here, wherever it is. Give me a like, throw me a comment, share the video if you get any value from it. What I'm going to dive into today is your first 5 money moves to be on the path to wealth and on the path to becoming rich. So here we go. All right, your first money move now that you're in the game. So if you're watching this, you probably just got your first job. Maybe you're out of college, maybe you dropped out of college, or maybe you're not even going to college, or whatever. Maybe you're just in your career wondering how do you get on that path, right? So your first money move to make is start reading money books. Okay. Believe it or not, this is the first move. The first move is become educated. Okay. I've talked about this in the last video. Wherever you are on your journey, the first move is you gotta get educated. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a couple books that I first read to get off the ground and get educated and start this process. First money book I ever read was Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. It's good. It's really good. There's a lot of stuff in there that's actionable. I think it's a great first book to read. The second money book I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Both of these are very simple, very easy, and kind of start to help you shift that mindset or just understand. Now, 2 money books that I'm going to give you here just to complete the Mount Rushmore of money books: Secrets of the Millionaire Mind and Psychology of Money. Okay, both are very different, but both serve a purpose. And actually right here, I have Psychology of Money at the office next to me all day. It sits on the desk right there. And Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is on my bedstand at home. And so I always have those 2 books with me, around me, try to anyway, because those I look at as like the money Bibles. Okay, so step 1, start to read money books, start to get educated, start to just understand the money game. And it's a game worth learning how to play. So that is step 1 on your money path, making money moves. Okay. Number 2, the number 2 money move to make is start to track your expenses. Okay. This is the same tip I give to people that are starting their fitness journey. Once you start your fitness journey, it's not even about working out. It's not about getting the right workouts. It's not about intermittent fasting. It's not about eating windows. It's not about protein. It's not about any of that. It's about, are you tracking what you're putting in your body? Because you probably surprise yourself by how many calories you're eating or not eating, how many grams of protein you are eating or aren't eating. So before you try to develop new habits and new routines, and that's hard to do. Okay. If you look at scientifically, the neural pathways are so ingrained by the time you get to this point where you're like, I want to switch my behavior. The problem is your behaviors are habitual at this point. And so what are you doing on a regular basis? Put it back to money talk. What are you spending money on a regular basis? If you aren't tracking yet, that's money move number 2. Track for a month, track for a week, track for a couple of days, and just see like, okay, here's what I'm spending money on. I would encourage a month because that's a cycle of bills and things like that. But start to track your expenses. Now, an easy way to do this is I used to use Mint, and then Mint decided to implode itself. And, we could talk about that later, but I moved to Monarch Money and it's great. It seems like it's just like Mint. I just started using it like a week ago, but it looks like the replacement of Mint that I'm seeing online, Monarch Money tracking. But you can put all your accounts in there, credit cards, debit cards, whatever, and then just go in there and track your expenses by category. At the end of the month, you can look at your trends. You can see what you're spending money on. And this is how, going back all the way to summer of 2020. So I've got basically 4 years of data on myself of what I spend money on every month and all of that. And it's great. It's great to look at. Like, it's great to just find trends and averages. And that is the way that you can create a budget or start to pull back expenses in some categories, or justify like, hey, actually, I'm not willing to cut that expense. How can I make more money? A lot of times it's not about overspending. It's about under earning, and some things aren't worth sacrificing for. So tracking your expenses, figure out where are you spending money right now. That's number 2. Number 3 money move to get started is, once I started reading money books and then I started tracking my money, the third thing I started doing was I tracked my net worth. Okay. And this is in sequential order of my money journey. Okay. I realized after tracking my net worth for 2 months was that my net worth is not going up. And somebody at the last retreat I was at, they asked like, hey, I've been tracking my net worth for a year. It's not going up. Net worth is a collection of your assets minus your liabilities. And so if you are not collecting assets being real estate, property, businesses is an asset. even things like furniture or Rolex, like those are technically assets that you own that you can resell. Your car if you have it paid off. And this is why people do invest in real estate, not just real estate investors, but like your own parents. They own their home probably because they know it's an asset that is theirs. And at some point they could liquidate by selling that, or they could use it as collateral, or whatever. They could get a home equity loan or whatever. And so, and by the way, if you aren't understanding some of the language I'm using, this goes back to number one money move: start reading money books, because the point is, once you start to expose yourself to the world of money, you start to learn the language of money. And so if you're reading money books, you'll hear me talk about things like home equity loan and net worth and liabilities and assets, and that'll be second nature. So at first in your money journey, I should have said this at the part of the video where I was talking about step one in your money moves, right? But the thing is, once you start to learn the money game, it feels like a new language. It's like if I, as an English speaker, started to learn Spanish, right? I would be confused at first, but eventually I'd pick up the language. That's the big key with money too, is like there's a whole world of language that you need to learn. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Step 3 of your money moves: track your net worth. Once I was tracking my net worth for 2 months, I realized like my net worth is not going up at all, right? And it's because I didn't have any assets. And so what I realized was, okay, I have money in Robinhood, but that's not necessarily that's not a net worth move. And net worth tracker, look it up online, net worth tracker. This is taking all of your bank accounts and everything that might be in your Monarch profile that you set up and putting it on a spreadsheet so that for me, I do it every week. But it's pulling, okay, all of my assets, bank accounts, car, maybe you own real estate already or something like that. And then on the same spreadsheet, you have minus liabilities. That would be your credit cards. That would be student loans. That would be, mortgages if you have that, a car, car payment. What's the remaining balance on that car payment? So it's assets minus liabilities is your net worth on the bottom. Once I understood this, my net worth started going up a lot faster, almost like exponential, because I realized I need assets. If I want my net worth to go up, I need assets. And so that's when I bought my first house. So number 3, start tracking your net worth, because ultimately, that's the number that matters. Your liquid money and all of that does matter. But if in a from a long-term financial perspective, your net worth is what really matters the most. And that is when someone says I want to be a millionaire, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about, I want $1 million of net worth, not $1 million in the bank account. Okay. All right. So that's number 3. Number 4, money move. Okay. Is start saving money. Now here's where the Roth IRA comes in. And the Roth IRA is a good tool. Okay. Don't get me wrong on that at all. But something that the book, The Psychology of Money, talks about is that there's not a right or wrong way to do money. And that's what's interesting. And that's sometimes hard to believe, or sometimes doesn't make sense to people, is that money is not a science. It is a psychology. And that's what the book explains. If money was as simple as do this input, get this output, we would all be rich because we would just do that. Now, ironically, it kind of is that, which is, the ironic part is there are models and there are things that we can do that other people have done to become more rich. And then that's where it's if other people are doing it and it works, why wouldn't you do it too? Read the books, right? But at the same time, it's not a science, it's a psychology. And half of money is what makes sense on paper economically, and half of money is what makes sense emotionally in our bodies, what feels good. Some people have a really hard time carrying debt. They might not be able to sleep with 10 mortgages, where some people they don't care, right? They're able to operate fully, whether they have mortgages or debts or whatever. And so once you understand okay, here's where I stand with money, you can start making moves around that. Going back to step 4 of your money moves would be to start saving money. This can be in a savings account. However, why I say Roth IRA probably makes sense is because it forces you to do it, and it takes that money out of sight, out of mind. Now, a Roth, we could go deep into the conversation of life insurance and, a lot of other ways to save money and ways to build that nest egg for when somebody is older. I'm just going to focus on Roth IRA, because I think if somebody is new in their money journey, I think it makes a lot of sense to start that Roth IRA, and there's a maximum on it. Okay. And so if every time you get a paycheck, you're putting 10% right into that Roth IRA, you are guaranteeing that that nest egg is going to build. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go through the compound interest calculator and why it makes sense and $1 million in 50 years or whatever, because if you're watching this, you probably understand that already. And you're like, well, how do I start it? Okay. So a couple ways that you can start saving money. If we're talking specifically Roth IRA, you could go to Vanguard.com. Okay. And you can literally go on there and click open Roth IRA. And it's that simple. Okay. So I used Vanguard for my Roth IRA. There's a couple other websites you can use. Another thing I'd say is when it comes to something like how to set up a Roth IRA, ChatGPT is an amazing tool. Okay. So I use ChatGPT every day for stuff. I prefer it over Google, and I love having conversations with ChatGPT. And that's what I would encourage you to do as well. Go to like ChatGPT and say, how do I set up my first Roth IRA? Make it super simple and not confusing. And if you pay $20 a month for ChatGPT 4, which I do, then you really get live up to date. They can just search Bing or Google and just do it for you. So how to set it up, Vanguard.com, whatever. Now, if you're talking about just saving money, the idea of paying yourself first, that's step 4, because once you start to pay yourself first and you start to build this nest egg of money, you create this opportunity for yourself where, hey, if I wanted to start investing into a home, or if I wanted to start buying some assets, or if I wanted to invest in a business, or if I wanted, to take this opportunity or go back to school or invest in this mastermind or this coaching program, now you have the financial ability to do it. If you never save, when those opportunities come, you can't take them. And so that's why it's so important to save, is because you never know really when that opportunity is going to fall in your lap. And if you don't have the financial ability or the liquidity to take advantage of an opportunity, you kind of just out of luck, and then that opportunity is going to go to the next person. And so this is kind of why the rich get richer. It's because they understand that when opportunities arise, they need to have the financial means to take action on those things. And that's why for me right now, I'm not very liquid because of the last house that we bought and revamping and setting up another Airbnb. And now we've got 3 of them, and we're trying to set up a couple more right now, but I'm in a tough spot because I'm not as liquid. Now, can I use other people's money? Yes. But at the same time, does it bootstrap me if I'm not as liquid? 100%. And so being able to save money, have a nest egg, that's money move number 4. Money move number 5, just to close out the video, close up here, is that once you start saving money, you can start to look at vehicles to invest that money in. Now, what I did, I'm not saying this is right, but it worked for me to get to where I'm at right now, is in the fall of 2020, I bought my first home as a house hack. Now, house hacking is when you buy the house, your roommates come in, live with you, pay you rent. And so what happened for me is I was, got to money move number 4. I started saving money. I saved up to a point where I had $25,000 of liquid money. Now, at the same time, I did have $28,000 of student loans. I did not pay my student loans off. This is where I think people make a mistake right now. As soon as I had $25,000 saved, common sense or your parents or whatever might say, hey, you've got $28,000 of student loans, you got $25,000 in the bank account, pay off as much as you can. I didn't do that. I continued to pay the smallest amount every single month of my student loans, and I'm still paying them off and whatever, right? Because that $25,000, I took $13,000 of it, put 5% down on a $230,000 house. Does that math add up? Something like that, with closing costs involved and whatever. And then I had to pay, a couple $1,000s to furnish the place and whatever. But my nest egg now, $25,000, I was able to take 15,000 of it or whatever. Now I owned a home. I got renters right away. They were paying me, which was paying off the mortgage. And so I was living in that house for free and profiting $500 to $1,000 a month for 3 years. So now I had a situation where I was no longer paying rent. Let's say that saved me $600, or to make easy math, $500 a month. That is $6,000 a year that I'm saving over 3 years. That's $18,000 that I saved in not paying rent, and made $1,000 a month of money coming in from my renters. Now that's $12,000 a year, times it by 3. I made $36,000 and saved $18,000. So that is $54,000 of up, okay, because I didn't pay off my student loans and I bought a house instead that I house hacked. On top of that, in the past 4 years, the house has gone up in value $70,000. So now that 54,000 or whatever, it's actually 124,000, okay, instead of paying off my student loans, paid chip away. And now that 120 whatever thousand or whatever, right? That doesn't even account for, I've paid off $26,000 of the mortgage in that time because my roommates were paying the mortgage. So now that's like $150,000. My net worth has gone up, like gone a different way. Instead of paying off the student loans that I'm chipping away, that opportunity to house hack. Also now I get to take a home equity loan off of that house and buy another house to Airbnb, which will also bring in money. And it's this cycle of like, it literally just stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. The only way you can get in that first one though, is if you save enough from step 4, right? If you save enough to get to a point where you can do that. So that's where step 4 matters so much. Like starting to save money matters so much because it opens up the opportunities such as step 5, which is get a house hack, have people pay you, you don't pay rent anymore. And that's where you really start to, you're able to build this financial egg that you're making money, you're gaining equity, and your net worth can go up so fast. And then you can buy another house and another house. So that first one matters so much. And it might not be real estate, it might be buying businesses, but the way you get rich or wealthy, it's through assets. So anyway, step 1, step 2, right? Make some money moves, okay? Make some money moves because life's not about money. Life's not about status, whatever. It's about what makes you feel full and what fulfills you and what are you after. However, like I talked about in the last video, in life, it's not a secret. Like the two things that really matter, money and peace of mind. And money can buy you peace of mind. Money can give you peace of mind. And so, if you're like, well, I don't want to be, stuck up in money and whatever, and I care about my family more. It's like, that's awesome. And, what if you didn't have to worry about money? Because it's a game, it's worth playing, it's worth learning. And, I just want to say thank you for supporting the channel and supporting myself, supporting the podcast. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, pass it on. I really appreciate that. Watch another video, stick around for a while, and we'll see you next time.